Hello, everyone. My name is Shakana Fulton, and today I will be discussing a lesson that I taught to my eighth grade ESOL students that was not successful at first, and how I reflected on the experience, and also how I redesigned the lesson using technology and AI. The original lesson focused on identifying narrative elements using a narrative flipbook. Students were expected to identify the setting, characters, conflict, plot, climax, resolution, and theme while reading a short story. Although the flipbook was engaging visually, the lesson was not successful because many of my English learners did not fully understand the academic vocabulary. Words such as conflict, climax, resolution, and theme were unfamiliar. And students spent more time trying to understand the vocabulary than actually analyzing the story. Since the vocabulary is the foundation for comprehension, students struggled to complete the flipbook and independently had a lot of frustration, which caused me to have to stop in between and explain, and it caused the class period to be longer than we actually were allotted. So they were late getting to the next class. After reflecting on the lesson, I realized that my students needed stronger vocabulary support because they needed it to be able to analyze the narrative because I couldn't expect for them to do it alone by themselves. To improve the lesson, I redesigned it using AI and educational technology. First, I used ChatGPT to simplify the vocabulary definitions into student friendly language. I also asked an AI to generate examples, non examples, sentence frames, and level questions that match my students' English proficiency levels. Next, I created Google Slides presentations with visuals, icons, and translated vocabulary with appropriate text for them to be able to use. Each narrative element included a picture, a simple definition, and an example from a familiar story. This helps students make meaningful connections after reading, well, before reading. I also created an interactive vocabulary review using quizzes so students could practice the words before beginning the flipbook. Students received immediate feedback, which helped them reinforce their understanding. Finally, the students completed the narrative flipbook using the simplified vocabulary and sentence starters that were generated through AI. They were much more confident and were able to identify the narrative elements with greater accuracy. Artificial intelligence provided several benefits throughout this lesson. It reduced planning time by helping me create differentiated instructional materials quickly. It also allowed me to personalize instruction for multiple English proficiency levels while providing additional language support. Most importantly, it helped me to remove language barriers so students would focus on developing comprehension and critical thinking skills. This experience reminded me that when students struggle, it is important to reflect on our instructional design rather than assuming they're unable to learn. By integrating AI and technology intentionally, I was able to create a more accessible and engaging and effective learning environment for my ESOL students, which was so helpful. And it caused me to say that, like, honestly, I'm truly grateful to have that type of technology to be able to use to better help my students. Additionally, I did use Magic School AI. And in Magic School AI, it did create flashcards for those newcomers, which had the words that were translated on one side and it had the English definition on another side. That was also helpful as well. But thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video was beneficial and helpful to you.